Hi everybody. It is Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. here in the Ultimate Baby Sleep Group. And I'm here hopping on as promised. I'm going to go through this whole nap fighting thread to discuss with you all of your nap issues. And I want you to know this is kind of how it's a small group and we're just started a week and a half ago. So what I'm going to start doing just for now is I'm just going to have a weekly thread with a topic. This week was naps. Next week will be bedtime battles. We'll have night wakings. We'll have toddlers. We'll have newborns. A bunch of different questions and threads and topics. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because I feel like I'll actually be able to help you better. If I just answer everyone's questions randomly, you'll get a sentence here, you'll get a sentence there. We won't have like a focused idea that we're talking about ever. So if we today go through all the questions here in the nap thread, and I'm really just going to go through every single one of them, and anyone here who's live can pop in and ask me questions. When we go through any of that, you'll see a common denominator, and really it will help you understand your nap fighting questions so much more, and that's the reason I'm going to do it. And before I go through the questions, I want you to know, I'm drinking my morning coffee here, even though it's 10:30. I want you to know there is some reason to my madness as to why I started with naps. Naps are the underlying tone to all good sleeping. And when we have a proper daytime nap structure set up and a child is getting proper naps, proper amount, is well rested, that's what's going to thwart positive night sleep. Now, I know naps are not the major issue for most of you, and that's why you're here. Most of you want your baby sleeping through the night. But I wanted to start with naps because once you understand the fundamental ideas with naps, it will help you so much more with nights. So I'm just going to start going through, and in case, I'm sure you know where I'm taking these questions from already, but it's here through this nap fighting thread. Okay, so let's just start. I'm going to start from top to bottom. I will look up to see who's here if anyone has a question who is watching live, but if you're watching the replay, you can hit me up in the comments below about naps. Okay, there's a lot of comments here, so let's start. Rena asked, my 12-month-old has started fighting naps and sleep in general. He used to go down for about 3 hours after he wakes up, but he won't now, and she tries again throughout the day. Sometimes a nap happens 6 hours after he's been up. Sometimes he just takes a short morning nap, won't go down for an afternoon nap, is exhausted by 6:30, and wakes up an hour later sometimes. So it sounds like Rena, he thinks that 6:30 p.m. is a nap. He's a great baby, but he's crying and fighting sleep. Nights have become horrible also, waking up at night. Then she got into night wakings. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the night wakings yet just because in order for a baby to sleep well at night, and this is for all of you who posted questions or any of you who are watching, in order for a baby to sleep well at night, they have to be well rested during the day. I cannot stress this enough, and it's a key step a lot of people miss. They think that keeping their baby up more during the day will automatically mean they're so tired they're going to sleep so well at night. No. Whenever I work with my families and the people that work with me through my groups and my one-on-one, we always start with daytime sleep. So Rena, your 12-month-old, it sounds like it's a pretty simple problem to fix. If you know your 12-month-old is tired and you know he needs to be napping, what I actually recommend doing is shortening the first nap. Now, this doesn't go across the board for every baby, and all these questions I'm just answering based on the details I see. Doesn't mean if you have a 12-month-old, it's going to be the same answer I'm giving Rena here. But if a 12-month-old baby, if you see he's fighting his second nap in the afternoon, doesn't want to take it, but you know he's tired because staying awake for 6-7 hours is too long, I recommend shortening his first nap. So when he goes down for that first morning nap, making sure it's not really much longer than I'd say maximum 45 minutes to an hour. Now, I know this goes against all of your mothering intuitions. You're never supposed to wake up a sleeping baby. It's horrible to do that, but you know what? Sometimes we have to actively take the reins to help them because this is not about doing anything unnatural. It's about helping your baby's body naturally find his own rhythms. So wake him up after about 45 minutes an hour. Doesn't mean you have to go in and like open the shades and scream, good morning, wake up. You know, do it gently, lightly. And as the days progress, he will start actually waking up on his own after 45 minutes or so. But the beauty of this is that he'll be tired at a more normal hour for his second nap. Because Rena, the reason he's waking up, if he used to sleep well, is probably because of this daytime sleep. And when daytime sleep is thrown off, you can throw your nights off. Okay, next question. Abby, your baby loves to sleep on his tummy during naps and night sleep, but it's not safe. He may be crying, and the second you turn him to his tummy or his side, he stops crying and is asleep. Okay, so this is, I think you had a newborn, Abby, if I recall, when you were asking. I don't see that here in this thread, but I would assume if you have an older baby, you're not concerned about the tummy sleeping as much as you would be with a newborn. Tummy sleeping versus back sleeping versus side sleeping, this is all very controversial, and I'm not going to get into saying what's right or what's wrong. Obviously, you're not comfortable with your baby sleeping on his tummy, and that's all that matters. You're the mother. You have to make the decision of what you feel is right. But what I would recommend is there is a middle ground. You don't actually have to go straight to back sleeping if you know your baby sleeps better and naps better on his tummy. What you can actually get, I don't have it here with me now actually, but they make these like little Velcro wedges where you can actually kind of stick your baby inside and have him sleep on his side, or you can take towels and roll them up, or little swaddling cloths, just so he can kind of sleep on his side a little bit to help transition getting out of that addiction to sleep on his stomach. But as he grows older and he learns how to roll from back to front, he's going to start developing his own preference, and at that point it's not a safety hazard. But if you're concerned with him sleeping on his tummy, at least start acclimating him to side sleeping, and then you can gradually flip him back over onto his back. But just realize, if he has a natural inclination to sleep on his stomach, nothing you can do once he's independently flipping. But that's what I'd recommend doing now. Tamara, you said your baby slept on his tummy since birth. Is it bad to admit? No, it's not bad to admit. Tamara, everyone has their own parenting philosophy, what works for you. And I will tell you, as a sleep specialist, and I talk with doctors and pediatricians a lot, they are always changing their minds about, sometimes they actually will advocate tummy sleeping, saying that it helps with different ideas. But then obviously, some doctors say it's horrible for SIDS and this and that. It's controversial. Keynote is you have to do what you feel is comfortable and what you feel is right, but obviously make sure your baby is safe, okay? Zeldy, 14-month-old. Taking another sip of my coffee, hang on. It's like the mama coffee cup, by the way. Okay, 14-month-old used to nap twice per day, 3 hours total, 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. I think you meant. Now he's fighting his first nap, but he's cranky only if he naps once in the day. Naps usually start at 11:30 and last till 1:30, bedtime 7. Okay, so you're wondering what's going on with his naps. He used to take, looks like, a 1.5 to 2 hour nap in the afternoon and a good hour nap in the morning. Zeldy, you want to know what to do with his naps. This is a good question. Babies usually transition from 2 naps to 1, usually within 15 to 19 months. So he's on the young side, but not at a crazy young side that it would be impossible. What I would actually recommend you do is, I'm curious how long this has been going on for. I wonder if you're on here now, Zeldy, if you could answer me how long this nap situation has been happening where he fights that first nap. But if you're not, post in the comments below and I will come see, because I can't see who is watching. I see how many people there are, but I can't see who is here. So Zeldy, if you are here, let me know what's going on with that nap fighting. But I would recommend, if he's fighting that first nap all the time, Zeldy, it's a little premature to tell you to take it away, because I can't say with 100% confidence that he's ready to move to 1 nap. It's possible that he is, but what I suggest doing is just making that first nap slightly later. If he's going down at 9, I would maybe bump it up to 9:30, maybe 9:45, and kind of shift everything to be slightly later, including bedtime, and see how that goes. If it works well and it's going well for a few weeks, awesome, problem solved. If not, then it's very possible he's ready to transition to 1 nap. 14-month-old is not unheard of, it's just on the young side, but a lot of babies his age do. 15 to 19 months is the norm, but we all know that those are just averages, and your baby might not necessarily listen to what the manual has to say. Okay, Samantha. Uh-oh, don't go away, thread. I have my laptop here so I can see it in front of me. Hang on. Samantha's question is, okay, it's the long one. Your 6-month-old only takes cat naps around 30 to 40 minutes 3 or 4 times a day. Is that okay? Is that normal for his age? Sometimes, her age is a girl, sometimes she wakes up from her naps and she seems rested, but other times she seems so tired. After you put her down for her first nap, it's about 2 hours later, she wakes up for the day. Okay, so you're putting her down for a nap every 2 hours. She sleeps well at night, wakes up once or twice to nurse. Okay, so you're asking a few things here. Seems like what's going on here. You're asking, A, is that normal? And B, is it something that you need to fix? Okay? So number one, normal can mean anything in terms of that, but you can fix it if you feel like it's not working. My biggest concern is that she's sometimes waking up cranky, and I wrote you this in the comment when I commented on this for you. If she was happy all the time, you wouldn't be concerned, but it sounds like, Samantha, you're concerned only because she's waking up really unhappy a lot of the time. So what I actually recommend doing, it's very common. If you're putting her to sleep every 2 hours, that is perfect, because that's what her ideal sleep window is. That's when I would recommend you put her down, because if you wait too long, and this is for all of you, for all of your questions, if any of you wait too long to put your babies down or put them down too early, you're missing what I call that right sleep window, which is a very fine area. Sometimes it can be within a 10-minute, 15-minute window if you have a really sensitive baby. And if you don't catch them in that window, it's going to cause them to wake up prematurely from their nap, cause them to fight sleep, and kind of have a vicious cycle. But I'm happy with the 2 hours, Samantha, for your 6-month-old. But I will tell you, a sleep cycle during the day for a baby this age is about 30-40 minutes. So what's happening is your baby's falling asleep, completing a sleep cycle, and then waking up, when naturally we would want them to transition to the next sleep cycle. So what I recommend doing is starting to pay attention to how your baby is falling asleep. Is your baby always falling asleep? What's going on? What just popped up on my thing? Is your baby always falling asleep, being rocked, being held, being fed with motion? Because what's happening is then your baby wakes up from the first sleep cycle and is about to transition to the next sleep cycle, but suddenly needs you to recreate their environment. I bet if you would hold your baby straight or use whatever dependency that your baby is falling asleep with, Samantha, your baby would take hour and a half naps. So I want you to pay attention with how your baby is falling asleep for naps, because that's probably the determining factor as to why naps are short. Next. And any of you who are watching, if you have a question on your question, if I get to it, or general question, I'm here because you're here live. So I'm happy to just interrupt and ask that. Next question is Jenny. My 18-month-old is on 1 nap a day. Okay, pretty normal, but the nap's been short. We're getting an average of an hour and a half nap, and I know he needs more. Is our timing off? He sleeps 12 to 12 and a half hours at night. Okay, so it's hard to say what your timing is going on. And Tamara, you said this is similar to your question. Hang on, I'm going to keep scrolling down. Okay, that's it with that question. So an 18-month-old taking 1 nap is normal. An hour and a half is on the shorter side. You're right. Most babies who are taking 1 nap around 18 months need a good hour and a half, closer to 2, I would like to see. But if it's not happening, you can't force your baby. What I would recommend, and I don't know what time your baby's waking up for the day, or Samantha, or what time you're offering the nap, but I would recommend not exceeding 4 hours of awake time. So if your baby's waking up at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, make sure the nap is happening by 11. If your baby's waking up at 6:30, try to have the nap happen closer to 10:30, 10:45. I wouldn't want to see it much earlier than that, but it's the same thing I just talked about. If you're missing that ideal window, your baby's going to have a really hard time taking a qualitative nap. So it's really, really important you don't let your baby get overtired, and you make sure your 18-month-old is taking a nap at the time that is best for his body. And same thing, like I just told the other person, I'm curious how your 18-month-old is falling asleep, because if your 18-month-old is waking up prematurely, it's possible that he's having difficulty transitioning to that next sleep cycle. Okay, so I'm happy you can see how the questions are kind of starting to develop a little bit of a common denominator. Okay, let's see. Michal, your 3-year-old, let me open this up. Your 3-year-old daughter only wants to sleep in your bed. You've tried everything and nothing's helped. Prizes, bribes, she wants to sleep with you. This sounds like a nighttime question. You have a 3-week-old baby, and she gets woken from him during the night. So your 3-year-old gets woken from your 3-month-old. And then she's tired during the day. Oh, I see. Wait, we talked about this. It's not a real nap issue. It's a nap issue because she's not sleeping in the night. So we're going to talk about that when we get to bedtime battles, Michal. Stay tuned for that. I will tell you, though, try to not let your 3-year-old nap during the day, because it'll just become a vicious cycle that continues to repeat itself. If she's waking up tons at night and is napping during the day, then that's compensating for last night's sleep, and then she'll keep waking up during the night. Try to minimize daytime sleep as much as possible, because doing that is only reinforcing her ability to wake up at night, because she's not going to have a sound of sleep. Angela, your little one is almost 7 months, is terrible with naps, usually cat naps, between 30-40 minutes. What's the best way to help this? She wakes up usually 3 times in the night. Okay, that's a night question. We'll get to that. All right, we're going to talk just about the days. Now, Angela, if you are just popping on now, or you are watching, or you see, we just talked about the exact same question with someone else. Night wakings happen because daytime sleep is out of whack. It's not the only reason. I'm not telling you if you have a child who's a perfect napper sleeping during the day that night waking is going to magically disappear, but I'm telling you, routine and getting a fundamental baseline set up to ensure your baby or your child is not overtired is the key to having success with night sleep. So we just talked about, Angela, someone else who we want to talk about a few things with your 7-month-old. Number one is The sleep cycle clearly is about that time. I'm curious how your baby is falling asleep, because if your baby's falling asleep with a dependency on something, on someone, on motion, on rocking, then they're waking up, completing the sleep cycle, and can't transition back to sleep independently. So I bet if you would use any sleep dependency continuously, probably your 7-month-old would sleep better. I'm not telling you to do that, but just be aware, because that's possibly contributing. Number one. Number two, I want to make sure you're not missing the window of your 7-month-old. A 7-month-old usually can stay awake between 2 to 3 hours, depending. Every baby's different. But usually, and again, I'm just giving you averages. If any of you are ever on here when I'm answering your question live, obviously chime in. But a 7-month-old usually between morning and nap 1, 2 hours of awake time. Between nap 1 and nap 2 is usually around 2.5 to 3 hours of wake time. Most babies this age are not taking a third nap, and then from that second nap to bedtime can usually go 4.5 hours. So 2 hours from morning till nap 1, time span of being awake. From nap 1 to nap 2, 2.5 to 3 hours. I would focus on that and focus on how your 7-month-old is falling asleep, because that could very much be contributing to the short naps, because can't transition back to sleep from a sleep cycle. Okay. Next. This is fun. I like answering these questions here. Okay. Oh, come on, computer. Technology, come on. Okay. Brianne, your 2.5-year-old fights his nap to the extreme. Epic all-out war. Okay. About half the time he crashes between 5 or 6. Doesn't sleep through the night. Okay, separate. Or sometimes he skips his nap altogether and is wired and doesn't fall asleep till 11:30. After a long time of trying, he's developed a medical condition, ended up in the hospital. Oh, goodness. He's on steroids for the condition. I'm sure it's not helping. Sounds like you have a lot going on here. Okay, you would say he hates sleep, but he does finally crash when he throws a fit. Okay, so a 2.5-year-old is pretty normal to not need to nap. But if you say that causes him to be just more and more overtired, it sounds like it's a wash, because he fights the nap half the time, Brianne, and he doesn't want to take the nap, but the other times he'll just stay awake anyway and get overtired. I would try, sounds like what's going on with him, and this is just my hunch from doing this for a long time. What's going on with him sounds like really he doesn't know how to relax his body. Probably what happens is twofold. Number one, it's inconsistent. Sometimes he's napping, sometimes he's not napping, and consistency every single day is really important for kids who are sensitive sleepers. I want to see every day the same thing happening, or the same thing not happening in his case, not taking a nap. It's not good for his internal clock to one day nap, one day not nap. One day crash at 6 o'clock, one day crash at 11 o'clock, because that's too drastic of differences with time, and his internal clock is basically constantly suffering from jet lag. So what I would like to see happen is consistently no nap, and consistently start winding him down every time the same day at bedtime. Every time the same time, every day at bedtime, around 6:30, 7, when you feel before he reaches that point of no return. And I want you to focus a lot on what your wind down process looks like, because when kids get wired around this age, and it happens very typically when kids drop their nap because it's a big transition for them, when they're transitioning, they often have a difficult time winding their bodies down. So they might need a little bit more help from you. Even if it means holding him and laying down in his bed, or even massaging his arms and kind of going down, he might need a little bit more help from you, just getting his body relaxed and learning how to do it. Especially if he just eventually conks out, that shows me that he's so overtired that he doesn't know how. So Brianne, I want you to focus a lot on getting consistent days, consistent no naps, and a consistent wind down time. That means consistent dinner, consistent bath, consistent pajamas, and kind of try to incorporate some type of relaxation process. And you might have to experiment a little bit to help him learn how to relax his body, because otherwise he's going to continue fighting it. Jenny, your 6-week-old, and we're going to do a special thread on newborn soon, so stay tuned. But your 6-week-old wakes up around 2 a.m. and is fairly sleepy. Okay, we're talking about naps. Okay. What kind of nap schedule should I have her on during the day? And should I put her in a bed when she naps? She generally wants to go to bed at 8 p.m. Okay, so Jenny, and I'm just going down the thread in order, so if I didn't answer your question yet, stay tuned. I'm just going from top to bottom. But Jenny, a 6-week-old is not too young to be on a routine, despite what people tell you. People who are non-scheduled people can often run away and flee when I say the word schedule, so I'm going to say routine, because routine really just means a sequence of events. It just means predictability. My baby generally naps around this time, generally eats around this time. It doesn't have to mean a play-by-play to the minute, but a 6-month-old is a prime time to start enlisting a nap structure, because that's only going to help get consistency set with his internal clock, but also, like I keep saying, help with night sleep, okay? So a 6-week-old, it's so hard to say. Like I'll give you just an example sample schedule here, and I'll actually post it below if you want, if I remember to. But a 6-week-old typically can't stay awake too long. He's little. So I would keep wake time, I would keep wake time super, super short with her, Jenny, and I would make sure that she's not kept awake for longer than an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes tops, because that's when her sleep window is, and if you wait too long, she's going to fight the nap, not sleep enough. I would typically like to see a 6-week-old awake for an hour and a half to hour 45 minutes with about 3, possibly 4 naps throughout the day. So you can kind of do the math to see how that works, but wake up time would be around 7 a.m. Bedtime would be somewhere around 7:30 or 8 p.m. with 3, possibly 4 naps distributed in between, with wake time no longer than an hour and a half to hour 45 minutes. If you're keeping your 6-week-old awake too long, bad news. Your baby's going to get overtired, fight sleep, wake up more in the night, and then the vicious cycle is going to happen. So make sure you keep wake time short, short, short. Tamara, 13-month-old, takes 1 nap a day, but it lasts between 1 hour and 15 minutes to 2 hours. Any way to ensure that 2 hours happen more often? Let's see. A schedule is 8:30 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. nap at 1. 9, 10, 11, 12. 1 is okay for a nap. Try many ways of winding him down for her nap, but he usually just wants to climb and play. For the moment, you get the ring sling. If you timed it right, he yawns, falls asleep. I'm just skimming through this. So he seems like he's fighting his nap a lot, which is the problem. So it sounds like Tamara, even though you are offering his nap at 1, he's probably not falling asleep till 1:30, 1:40, maybe even later, I would guess. So if you know he's going to fight it, what is possibly happening why the nap is short is, again, he's getting overtired, missing the sleep window, that right sleep window, that sweet spot for sleep, fighting you even more, and then waking up prematurely. So I would recommend, if you know it's a battle to get him down, Tamara, start winding him down earlier. If your goal is to have him asleep at 1, don't start the process at 1 when you know he's not going to take a half an hour till 1:30 to fall asleep. Start winding him down at 12:30 or 12:40, so your goal is he's asleep by 1, because I think in your case, tomorrow, the earlier you get him to sleep, the longer the nap is going to be. And post your questions below if you do have questions. Okay, Javi. Your 2.5-year-old can go to sleep at 6 p.m. and sleep till 6 a.m. if she doesn't take a nap. Okay, so she'll sleep 12 hours straight at night if she doesn't take a nap. If she takes a nap, she'll go to sleep at 8, and you have to wake her up in the morning. You feel like she needs a lot of sleep. So if I tell the daycare not to nap her, she's exhausted, and she won't go to sleep at 7 p.m. What should I do? I want this to be healthy and right. When she comes home from school, she's exhausted, and she wants to just lie down or rest in her crib. Okay, so kids who are often at daycare do get overstimulated and tired because there's tons of action. They're playing, they're stimulated, they're with friends, they're this, they're that. So it sounds like you're not so comfortable taking the nap away. So it sounds like you have to find a middle ground to kind of see what's happening. A 2.5-year-old, some children usually give up their nap, and I'm going to be very generous here with the window between 2 and 3, because some kids really are ready at 2, but some kids really still nap till 3 or even later. So Javi, if you feel like she really needs to be taking her nap, don't take it away. But you have to understand, if she's napping, bedtime is going to be later. You can't have the best of both worlds. You can't have her take an awesome nap during the day and still go to sleep at 6 p.m. and still, it's going to be a cycle. So maybe you can find a happy median and ask them to offer her nap slightly earlier. Did you write here what time she's napping? No, you didn't. But I would recommend, if you know she's fighting bedtime, and because she's going to bed till late, you can't wake her up in the morning when she's napping, try offering her nap earlier. Because if you offer it earlier, hopefully she'll get rested enough. She won't be as irritable in the afternoon, and she won't be as tired in the mornings when you wake her up. Okay, Alana. 2 questions, Alana. My 2.5-year-old has been fighting naps. Used to sleep for 2 hours in the afternoon, but now is coming out of her bed and giggling. If she doesn't nap, she crashes. With a nap, she won't go to sleep till 8, 8:30. Sounds very similar to Javi's question we just answered. Should you let her drop the nap? You feel like she's young and she needs it, but she gets super cranky. Okay, so Alana, it's really your decision. I can't, if I would analyze this in more detail, I could tell you for sure if she needs her nap or not. Some 2.5-year-olds are fine without a nap, and some really, really do still need it. So there is a transitional period, though. When a child's ready to give it up, it's not like instantaneous like that. It's not suddenly that their body's clock shifts and they say, okay, great, I'm good for no nap, good to go, I'm ready, my body's going to magically adjust. There's a transitional period where their body has to adjust from napping every single day to staying awake for a full 12 hours. I'm an adult and I get tired during the day, okay? And I know I can stay awake all day. So you got to give her ample time. It sounds like from what you're saying here, though, with a nap, she doesn't go till 8:30. It sounds like you got to get rid of that nap in your case, only because if she's fighting bedtime and she's fighting the nap, it sounds like, because she's coming out of her bed, doesn't sound like it's really beneficial. What you're going to have to just do is offer bedtime slightly earlier during the transitional period. She's going to be tired earlier for bedtime, Alana, just because she's used to napping during the day, and that's okay. Let her go to bed a little earlier. As her body adjusts, it can get later and later, and just try to keep her up in the afternoon very gently. But in your case, it does sound like she's ready to drop her nap. And you had another question here. Your 3.5-month-old is not a good napper. She naps 2 hours in the morning. And 12 to 9, she barely naps. 12 to 9 is 9 hours of her being awake. So I would tell you, Alana, to make sure you keep your eyes on that sleep window with your 3.5-month-old. If your sleep window, if your 3.5-month-old is being kept awake from 12 to 9 with barely taking a nap, hang on, this is popping on me, it's way too long. That's just causing her to be overtired, fight sleep more. I would make sure that her sleep window is not longer than 2 hours, and that you make sure during the day you try to get her down, because if you miss that window and she gets overtired, she's going to fight her naps so much more, and it's going to make it so much more difficult for her. Okay, for whoever's watching, do you have any questions? Anyone who's here, anyone who's watching, does anyone have anything they want to ask me? Definitely just type it down below. I will see your comments and questions when you put it there. Zelda, your 2-year-old doesn't sleep through the night. Stop nursing him. He goes to sleep between 7:38. It's temporary. Walk into her room. This sounds like a night question. What did I write you back? Brienne says her 2-year-old also doesn't sleep through the night. Okay, good. Don't worry, guys. We're going to talk about night sleep. We're just focusing on daytime sleep first. Okay, fine. We're going to get back to those questions when we talk about night wakings. Lindsay, your 6-month-old naps well and is so happy during the day, but at night it's a whole different baby. She wakes up. Okay, I'm not going to get into night waking yet, even though I know that's what you all want to talk about. I just want to focus on the naps now, so people who are having nap issues can nip that in the bud, get that done with, and then we can all move on to the nights together. Okay, Chaya, what are the ways that you can teach your baby as early as a newborn to self-soothe to sleep train at 4 months? The question is from my sister-in-law. Okay, your baby's 10 months. You have a crib. Okay, so those are night questions more, but I will say, like I said, with newborns, it's not about sleep training. With newborns, it's really just about preventative measure. If you can set things up on the right foot and get your newborn onto a good routine during the day, nights are going to be so much smoother. I cannot even explain to you. So with newborns, the biggest thing is to make sure that you keep wake time short, and you make sure that they're on a good routine that's consistent for what their body wants to do, because that's what's going to help them so much more. So those are all the questions in the thread here. I went through them, and I hope this was helpful. I feel like I said a few things over and over that were repetitive, but I hope that really drives home the point of you understanding what I've gained just from looking through all of your questions was a few main things I want you to all take away with naps. Naps are the undertone for good night's sleep. So even though you might not care if your child naps all during the day, but they're up a lot at night, you want to get naps in order, so that way nighttime sleep can be solid and you can all sleep through the night. Number 2, nail your child's right sleep window. You want to make sure that you're not keeping your baby or your child awake too little or too long, because if you miss the window, they're going to fight sleep. Number 3, we talked about how your kids are falling asleep for the naps when they fight it. A lot of you had kids that were taking cat naps or shorter naps than you want. If they're falling asleep too late, or too early, they're not going to take a good nap. But how they fall asleep is also important, because if they're falling asleep with a dependency on something, on someone, then they can't transition back to sleep on their own. So I want you to concentrate a lot on that. Now, if you are interested in talking with me personally, I'm actually running an insane deal right now on my sleep groups and my one-on-one services. It's the end of the year. It's only till the end of the month of December. I am offering 50% off of all of my sleep services. It's only till next week, till January 1st starts. So I will put the link up here. I would love to chat with you. You can schedule a call with me at the link that I'm going to post about this video when I'm done to talk about your baby in detail. We'll get really nitty-gritty to the root of your sleep challenges. If you want to sleep through the night and you want to lock in this deal, you're definitely going to want to set up a call with me sooner than later, because once January 1st comes, I am not offering 50% off. I never do it, but I just kind of wanted to start 2017 off right. So if you are interested in chatting with me, definitely set up a sleep success call with me at the link above. I'm going to put it up in a minute for those of you who are watching live. Set up a call with me and I'll walk you through my whole system, and you can lock in that 50% discount and you can get the sleep you need. All right, have an amazing day. I hope this was helpful. And if you are watching the replay, post your questions below and I will do my best to get to you. Take care.